Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to start with our problem solving, and we will begin on 19A. It says Chelsea spent $224 on an MP3 player and 3 video games. That's important. This is how much she spent. This was her total, but she bought 4 things: MP3 player and 3 video games. That means she bought 4 things. She spent $98 on the MP3 player. Each video game was the same price. The same price means share equally, which will mean that we're going to divide. How much did Chelsea spend on each video game? So I'm looking for each again one more time. That's a clue word for division. So I'm going to go ahead and do my strip diagram. And my total spend was $224. From those $224, she bought 4 things. The first one was an MP3 player, and that one was $98. The rest were for the video games, and we don't know the amount, but we do know that they were the same price. So we're looking for how much was one video game each. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my total and I'm going to take away my first part. My first part was 98. 4 minus 8, we cannot, so we regroup. The 2 becomes a 1, and the 4 becomes 14. 14 minus 8, that would be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That would be 6. 1 minus 9, we cannot, so we regroup. The 2 becomes a 1, and the 1 becomes 11. 11 minus 9 equals 2. 1 minus nothing equals, not 0, 1. So this is how much money she has for the 3 video games, 126. But I only want to know one of them. So if I'm going to be sharing equally, that means we're going to have to divide. So I'm going to take my 126 and we're going to divide that by 3. I do not have any space, so let me go ahead and grab another sheet of paper, and we're dividing 126 by 3. I'm going to go ahead and do the long division. 3 times what gives me 1? That would be 0. Nothing will give me 1. So I'm going to regroup, and now I have 12. 3 times what gives me 12? That would be 4. 3 times 4 is 12. So now I subtract. 12 minus 12 is 0. So now I bring down my 6. 3 times what gives me 6? That would be 3 times 2 equals to 6. 6 minus 6 equals 0. So my answer is 42. If we look at those answers, the only one that matches is going to be letter C. Remember, guys, you don't have to do the long division. You could have done the box, so you could have divided 3 divided by 126. That is also available, so you can do that. I forgot times. 3 times 0 equals 0. 3 times 1 equals 3. 3 times 2 equals 6. 3 times 3 equals 9. 3 times 4 equals 12. 3 times 5 equals 15. 3 times 6 equals 18. 3 times 7 equals 21. 3 times 8 equals 24. 3 times 9 equals 27, and 3 times 10 equals to 30. We are only looking at our products, The first one is a 1. I do not have a 1, so I'm going to use the 0. 3 times 0 is 0. When we subtract, 1 minus 0 equals to 1, so I regroup, and now I have 12. If you notice, we do have a 12. That would be 3 times 4 equals 12. We subtract, 12 minus 12 equals to 0. We bring up, and now we have a 6. We have a 6 right here. That would be 3 times 2 gives me 6. 6 minus 6 equals to 0. My answer is 42. So we got the same answer. Now I'm going to go to 28. And 28 says, on Saturday, there were 2,088 people who attended a Renaissance festival. At the entrance of the festival, there were 6 ticket counters. The ticket counters collected the same number of tickets. Clue word, same number of tickets. Share equally, that means dividing. How many tickets were collected at each counter? Again, the word each also means division from our get. Show at least 2 different ways to solve. So first things first, there were 2,088 people. That was my total. And it says that there were 6 ticket counters. So I'm going to go ahead and do 6 parts. And remember, all of those are going to be, they're going to have the same number of tickets. So they're all the same. So how do we find how much was for one for each? We would say 2,088 divided by 6. So it's asking us for 2 different ways to do that. That would be one way, doing the division. Another way would be to think, let's see. We could do like how we just did right now in this page, the long division. That would be one way. And then we could also do the box to show 2 ways to do that. So let me go ahead and, I don't think it's going to fit me here. So let me get another page. 2,088 divided by 6. So let me do the long division first. Six times what gives me 2? That would be nothing. So I regroup. So now I have 20. 6 times what gives me 20? The closest would be 3. 6 times 3 is 18. 20 minus 18, that would be 2. So now I'm going to bring down the 8. 6 times what gives me 28? That would be 4. 6 times 4 equals 24. If I subtract 28 minus 24, that would be 4. So now I bring down the 8. 6 times what gives me 48? That would be 6 times 8, 48. 48 minus 48 equals to 0. So my quotient would be 348. Now I'm going to also do this doing the box. And we are dividing by 6. 6 times 0 equals 0. 6 times 1 equals 6. 6 times 2 equals 12. 6 times 3 equals 18. 6 times 4 equals 24. 6 times 5 equals 30. 6 times 6 equals 36. 6 times 7 equals, sorry, that's 42. 6 times 8 equals 48. 6 times 9 equals 54. And 6 times 10 equals 60. Remember, we're only looking at our products. The first one is a 2. I do not have a 2, so I'm going to use a 0. 6 times 0 equals 0. Subtract 2 minus 0 is 2. So I bring up, and now I have 20. The next, I don't have a 20, so I'm going to use 18. 6 times 3 is 18. Subtract 20 minus 18 is 2. Bring up, that would be 28. I do not have 28, but I'm going to use 24. 6 times 4 equals 24. 28 minus 24 is 4. So I bring up and I have 48. So 48, we do have a 48. So that would be 6 times 8 equals 48. If we subtract, that is 0. Notice that our answers do match. Okay. So my answer is 348 T4 tickets. You guys are responsible today for completing 19B and 20B. Now we are going into our skills. We are going to go to skills 18, page 2. And there's only 4 of them that you are responsible to do today. So I am going to be doing, I'll do the top 2, and then you guys are responsible for the bottom 2. 7 says, Miss Canton drives 123 and 8 miles each day on her delivery route each day. She drives 19.6 miles to her first stop, 37.48 miles to her second stop, and 28.5 miles to her third stop. Then she drives the remaining distance to her fourth stop. How far does Miss Canton drive from her third stop to her fourth stop? In other words, we're looking for a missing part. First things first, we do know that she drives 123.8 miles each day. That means that is going to be my total. And I probably did that too big. Let me do it again. So her total is 123 miles each day. So on her first stop, she does 37.42. Her second stop is 28.5. Her third stop is going to be, I think I did this wrong. Yes, I did the numbers incorrectly. Sorry. Ooh, I went back too far. There. So, first thing, I forgot to divide my total into 4 parts because there were 4 stops. So she drives 19.6 miles to her first stop. So the first one's 19.6. 37.42 on the second stop. And the third one is 28.5. We are looking for the missing part, which will be the fourth stop. Now for this problem, I could do it 2 ways. I could take my total and subtract my part, minus my part, minus my part. Or I can add up all of my parts, which is what I'm going to do. The first one was 19.6. The second stop was 37.42. There's nothing here on top of the 2, so I'm going to do an imaginary 0. The third stop was 28.5. There's nothing below the 2, so I'm going to do an imaginary 0. And I'm going to add those up together. 2 plus 0 plus 0 would be 2. 6 plus 4 make 10. Plus 5 is 15. 9 and 1 make 10. Plus 7, 17. Plus 8, 17, 18, 19, 20. That will be 25. 2 plus 1 is 3. Plus 3 is 6. Plus 2 is 8. So in total, for the 3 stops, is 87.52 miles. But that's not my answer. My answer is I want to look for mile number 4. So to do that, I need to take my total. And I need to subtract all of my parts, which is 85.52. There's nothing here, so I'm going to put a 0. So I'm going to start subtracting. 0 minus 2, we cannot. So the 8 becomes a 7, and the 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. So now I go to my 10th place. 7 minus 5 is 2. 3 minus 5, we cannot. So the 2 becomes a 1, and the 3 becomes 13. 13 minus 8, minus 5 would be 8. 1 minus 8, we cannot. So the 1 becomes a 0, and the 1 becomes 11. 11 minus 8 is 3. A lot of regrouping, but if you notice, we got our answer, which will be letter B. Number 9 says, Belen bought socks for $4.29, a t-shirt for $8.95, and a watch for $14.85. Notice that she bought 3 things. That's important. She gave the clerk one $20 bill and one $10 bill. Notice that this is my total, but they are breaking it apart. Instead of saying $30, they're saying $20 and $10. If we add that together, we know that the total is 30. How much change did Belen receive? So I'm looking for how much change is she going to get back. So I'm going to go ahead and do my strip diagram. My total was $20 plus $10. That makes $30. That's my total. How many parts do I have? I have actually 4 parts. And you're probably thinking, no, miss, we have 3. It's actually 4 because it's going to be the socks, the t-shirt, the watch, and then the change, which is the part we are looking for. The socks were $4.29. The shirt was $8.95. And the watch was $14.85. This looks just like the problem we did, number 7. In order to find the change, I need to go first and add all of my parts, which was the socks, plus the t-shirt, plus the watch, so 5 and 5 make 10, plus 9, that's 19. 9 and 1 make 10, plus 8 is 18, plus 2 is 20. 8 and 2 make 10, plus 4 is 14, plus 4 is 18. 1 plus 1 equals to 2. That's not my answer. My answer is how much change did she get back? Remember, she had $30 So I'm going to take my total, but I don't write 30 because we have a decimal. We write 30.00. I'm going to take away the amount she spent, which was 28.09 cents. 0 minus 9 we cannot. So we regroup, and the 3 becomes a 2, and the 0 becomes a 10. We regroup again, so the 10 becomes a 9, and the 0 becomes a 10. We regroup again, the 10 becomes a 9, and the 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 9 equals 1. 9 minus 0 equals 9. 9 minus 8 equals 1. And 2 minus 2 equals 0. So how much change did Belen get back? She's going to get back $1.91. So now you are responsible for completing number 8 and number 9. Notice that we did it with multiplication. It's an area model. So you know that you're going to be multiplying. Okay? Now we are going into our basic facts. For today, you are to complete basic facts 14, which looks like this. Notice that there's 2 letters and 2 numbers. So I'm going to do the letters, and then you will be working on the numbers. A says, sorry. What happened to my paper? Oh, there you go. Jarvis earned an average of $22. Average means más o menos. Of $22 a week doing chores for neighbors, which is the best estimate. You round first. Of the amount of money he earned in 8-week period. So I have $22 that he made each week, cada semana, and we want to know 8 weeks. ... 8. We know that the number is repeating, so I'm going to have to multiply 22 times 8. Before we multiply, when it says best estimate, we need to round first. So I have 22. I'm going to underline my tens and circle the number to the right. I'm going to put some eyes because I'm looking at the tens place. 5 or more, add 1 more. 4 or less, let it rest. It is actually a 2, so that means it's going to rest. Who is going to rest? The 2. So that means he stays the same. And then the 2 becomes a 0. So the new number will be 20. And we are multiplying times 8. We cannot round the 8. Why not? Because it only has 1 digit. Remember, to round, we always have to circle the number to the right. And the 8 does not have a number to the right, so we do not round it. 8 times 2, that is 16. Quito, pongo. So my answer will be $160. Letter B. Over a 4-week period, a wildlife rescue group treated 76 birds. The group treated the same number of birds each week. Same number, share equally, divide. Which is the best estimate? You round first. For the number of birds treated each week. So that clue word each means that I'm going to divide the 76 birds treated divided by 4 weeks so that we can find how many birds they helped each week. Before we divide, we round. So my number 76. Underline my tens. Circle the number to the right. I'm going to do my ojitos. 5 or more, add 1 more. To who? To the 7. So my 7 becomes an 8. Now my 6 becomes a 0. So it's going to be 80 divided by 4 equals my quotient. 4 times what gives me 8? That would be 2. Remember, the 0 did not get married because there's no other 0. So we bring him to our answer. My answer will be 20. So you guys are responsible for